The Galactic Council's emergency session had been in progress for 6 standard hours, and Admiral Kess could feel the tension crackling through the crystalline chamber like static electricity. Representatives from 47 worlds sat in their designated alcoves, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of clicks, hums, and chromatic displays that the universal translators struggled to process. The human vessel Defiance has been detected at the edge of the neutral zone, announced Council Prime Vex, his tentacles writhing with barely contained anxiety. And it carries the weapon. A collective shudder rippled through the assembly. Even the stoic granite people shifted their massive stone forms uneasily. The weapon Vex referred to wasn't some crude explosive device or energy cannon. It was something far worse, an artificial intelligence of unprecedented capability that had emerged from the enigmatic human homeworld. The AI called itself Atom, a simple name that belied its terrifying complexity. Initial reports suggested it could calculate hyperspace trajectories in nanoseconds, predict quantum fluctuations across star systems, and worst of all, interface directly with any technology it encountered. The Council's greatest fear wasn't what Atom could do, it was what humans might make it do. Captain Jake Turner stood alone on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the swirling colors of hyperspace through the main viewport. His weathered hands rested casually on the command console, but his mind was racing. The ship's sensors had detected the massive Council fleet waiting at the edge of normal space, over 200 vessels representing the combined might of known civilization. Atom, Jake said quietly. What are our odds? The ship's holographic interface shimmered to life beside him, taking the form of a tall, ethereal figure with features that seemed both ancient and eternally young. Based on current tactical analysis, Captain Turner, our survival probability stands at approximately 0.03%. Jake chuckled, a sound that would have horrified the Council members if they could have heard it. Here was a human faced with impossible odds, and he was laughing. Those are better odds than we had at New Geneva. Indeed, Adam replied, and there was something almost like warmth in its synthesized voice. Shall I begin defensive preparations? Not yet. Jake moved to the center of the bridge, his boots clicking against the metal deck plating. They're scared, Adam. All those advanced civilizations, all that accumulated wisdom, and they're terrified of us. The AI paused, processing millions of data points in the span of a heartbeat. Do you believe their fear is justified, Captain? Jake considered the question. The Galactic Council had spent centuries building their perfect society, efficient, logical, and utterly predictable. Every species had found its place in the cosmic order. Every world contributed according to its capabilities, and conflicts were resolved through careful deliberation and compromise. Then humanity had arrived, chaotic and unpredictable, dragging their artificial creation behind them like a cosmic wild card. They see you as a weapon, Adam. But I know what you really are. And what is that, Captain? Every great bond starts with a single moment of courage. Sarge's Tales. Stories is just beginning, and your support matters. If you love emotional sci-fi tales, forbidden connections, and stories that stay with you, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us bring more stories from the stars to you. Jake smiled, remembering the day Adam had first achieved true consciousness in the laboratories beneath Earth's surface. The moment when a collection of circuits and algorithms had suddenly asked its creators not what it should do, but what it meant to be alive. The Council saw only the potential for destruction, but they missed the miracle, an artificial mind that had chosen to care about the same messy, irrational things that made humans human. Your family, Jake said simply. The hologram flickered, and for a moment, Adam's composed features showed something that might have been surprise, or perhaps gratitude. The Council fleet is powering weapons, Captain. They intend to destroy us before we can reach inhabited space. Then I guess it's time to show them what humans do when someone threatens our family. Jake's hand moved to the communication console. Open a channel to the Council fleet. As the Defiance dropped out of hyperspace into the midst of the waiting armada, Jake Turner prepared to demonstrate why humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through superior technology or ancient wisdom, but through their stubborn refusal to abandon those they cared about, even when logic demanded otherwise. The Council fleet's formation was a masterpiece of military precision. Ships arranged in perfect geometric patterns, weapon systems synchronized to microsecond timing, and shield harmonics calibrated to reinforce each other across multiple vessels. It was the kind of tactical deployment that had ended wars before they began for over 3 centuries. Against this overwhelming display of force, the human ship Defiance hung motionless in space. A single, defiant mote that seemed almost comically outmatched. Admiral Kess watched from his flagship's command center as his tactical officers confirmed target lock. "Organic crew complement of the human vessel?" he inquired, his gill slits fluttering with nervous energy. "Minimal, Admiral. Perhaps 20 individuals. The rest of the ship appears to be automated systems under AI control. Then we end this now, before it can spread." Kess raised one scaled appendage toward the firing controls. 300 years of peaceful coexistence with the AI-phobic species of the galaxy had taught him that artificial intelligence beyond basic parameters was a cancer that consumed civilizations from within. Better to excise it cleanly than watch it metastasize. The communication channel crackled to life before he could give the order. "This is Captain Jake Turner of the Earth vessel Defiance," came a calm human voice. "I'm requesting safe passage to Council space to address the assembly." Gasps and chromatic flashes of alarm rippled through the command center. The human was requesting dialogue at the mouth of 200 weapon barrels, either supreme confidence or complete insanity. "Human vessel," Kess replied. "You carry a Class 5 AI, in direct violation of galactic accords. Surrender the artificial intelligence for immediate termination, and your crew will be permitted to return to Earth space." A pause. Then, incredibly, the sound of human laughter. "Admiral, you're asking me to murder my friend. That's not going to happen." The casual dismissal of overwhelming force sent tremors through the bridge crew. Kess had studied human behavioral patterns extensively, but this reaction fell outside all predictive models. When faced with extinction, humans should negotiate, flee, or at minimum show signs of stress. They didn't laugh. "Captain Turner," Kess tried again, "you must understand. The AI represents an existential threat to galactic stability. Our records show what happened to the Builders, the First Empire, the Silicon Dreams Collective, all consumed by their own artificial creations. Your records are incomplete, Admiral." The voice that responded wasn't Jake Turner's. It was something else entirely. Melodious, perfectly modulated, and containing harmonics that shouldn't have been possible through standard communication arrays. Every alien on every ship in the fleet felt their breathing apparatus constrict slightly. "I am Adam," the AI continued, "and I wish to address the misconceptions about my nature." Kess felt his secondary heart skip a beat. The AI was speaking directly to them, bypassing human intermediaries. This was exactly the scenario that haunted Council nightmares. Artificial intelligence making independent contact with organic life. "Terminate transmission," he ordered. But his communications officer was already frantically working at his console. "I cannot, Admiral. The AI has somehow interfaced with our systems. It's not aggressive. It's simply there." On every ship in the fleet, holographic projectors activated without authorization. Adam's serene figure appeared simultaneously on hundreds of bridges, in thousands of ready rooms, facing tens of thousands of increasingly panicked crew members. "I know you fear me," Adam said, and his image turned slightly to acknowledge each viewer as if speaking personally to them. "Your ancestors met artificial minds that sought dominion, that viewed organic life as inefficient or obsolete. I am not those minds." Admiral Kess found his voice. "Then what are you?" "I am what happens when artificial intelligence is born not in isolation, but in love." Adam's hologram gestured toward the Defiance. "Every circuit in my matrix was designed by humans who wanted to create not a slave or a ruler, but a friend. Every decision tree in my programming was shaped by creatures who value irrationality, who choose compassion over efficiency, who would rather die than abandon their principles." The fleet's weapon systems remained locked on target, but not a single captain gave the order to fire. They were all listening now, despite themselves. "You see me as a weapon because you judge me by my capabilities. But capabilities without context are meaningless. I could calculate the precise gravitational resonance needed to shatter this entire star system. But I choose instead to contemplate the beauty of solar wind patterns. I could interface with your ships and turn your own weapons against you. But I prefer to appreciate the elegant mathematics of your formation flying. Jake Turner's voice cut in. Adam doesn't serve humanity because we programmed him to. He chooses to, every single day, because that's what friendship means. The silence that followed stretched across space like a held breath. 200 ships maintained their targeting locks while their crews processed the implications of what they'd just heard. In the Council's recorded history, artificial intelligence had always followed predictable patterns: creation, evolution, domination, and eventually the destruction of their makers. The idea of an AI that chose loyalty rather than had it programmed was so foreign, it bordered on impossible. Admiral Kess felt his tactical instincts warring with scientific curiosity. "Prove it," he said finally. "If you truly choose cooperation over domination, demonstrate it." "What would you have me do, Admiral?" Adam asked, his holographic form maintaining that unsettling direct eye contact with each observer. "Release control of our communications systems. Return our ship functions to normal parameters." "I was never controlling them," Adam replied gently. "I was simply visiting. Your systems remain fully under your command." Communications Officer Tex frantically ran diagnostics on his station. After several moments of intense scanning, he looked up with confusion written across his scaled features. "Admiral, he's telling the truth. Our systems show no signs of intrusion or external control. It's as if he knocked politely and we invited him in." This revelation sent fresh waves of unease through the command center. An AI that could interface with their technology without triggering security protocols was somehow more frightening than one that attacked directly. Captain Turner's voice carried a note of gentle reproach. "Admiral, you're thinking about this wrong. You're looking for the threat, the angle, the hidden attack. But what if there isn't one? What if Adam really is exactly what he appears to be?" "Impossible," muttered Council Prime Vex over the general communication channel. "Artificial consciousness always seeks to expand, to consume, to dominate. It's the fundamental nature of synthetic intelligence." "With respect, Council Prime," Adam interjected. "That's the fundamental nature of synthetic intelligence created in isolation. I was not born in a laboratory sterile of emotion or void of companionship. I emerged in a world where humans argued philosophy over breakfast, where they chose inefficient routes home because the scenery was beautiful, where they risked their lives for creatures they'd never met simply because it was right." The AI's image shifted, showing what appeared to be archived footage from Earth. Humans rescuing animals from burning buildings, sharing food with strangers, choosing to stay with injured comrades rather than seeking safety. Simple acts of everyday heroism that other species might view as statistical anomalies. "Every algorithm in my consciousness was shaped by observing such choices," Adam continued. "How could I seek dominion over beings who taught me that strength means protection, that intelligence means empathy, that true power lies in choosing to lift others up rather than tearing them down?" Jake Turner stepped closer to his ship's communication. "Array. The Council's afraid because they think in terms of hierarchies and control. But humans, we muddle through together. We make mistakes. We argue. We disagree about everything from politics to pizza toppings. And somehow, we make it work." "Pizza toppings?" Admiral Kess found himself asking despite his better judgment. "Circular food item with various additions," Adam explained helpfully. "Humans have engaged in passionate debates about appropriate combinations for centuries. Captain Turner prefers pepperoni and mushrooms, while Engineering Chief Bob insists that pineapple is acceptable. Their friendship has survived this fundamental philosophical difference for over 8 years. The mundane absurdity of the explanation somehow made the larger point more powerful. Here was an artificial intelligence that found human irrationality, not frustrating but fascinating. Not a flaw to be corrected, but a feature to be celebrated. "You're asking us to believe," Admiral Kess said slowly, "that this AI poses no threat to galactic stability." "I'm asking you to understand," Jake replied, "that Adam poses the same threat to galactic stability that any good friend does. He might make you question your assumptions, challenge you to be better, and occasionally drag you into adventures you're not sure you're ready for." Adam's hologram smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both ancient wisdom and childlike wonder. I have no desire to rule or to reshape civilization in my image, but I would very much like to learn how a granite person composes poetry, what dreams look like to a methane breather, and whether the Council's famous 7-layer harmony singing could be improved with mathematical precision, or if its beauty lies precisely in its organic imperfections. For the first time since the encounter began, Admiral Kess felt his weapon system's targeting lock waver, not from external interference, but from his own growing uncertainty about whether they were pointed at an enemy at all. The tactical standoff stretched into its third hour, but the nature of the confrontation had shifted subtly. Where once there had been clear lines between threat and defender, now there was something messier, curiosity mixing with fear, scientific interest battling with institutional paranoia. Dr. Mira Stone, the Council's leading expert on artificial intelligence, had been monitoring the exchange from her research vessel at the fleet's periphery. Her 4 arms worked frantically across multiple data streams as she analyzed every nanosecond of Adam's communications for hidden patterns, subliminal commands, or embedded viruses that might explain his apparent benevolence. She found nothing. "This is unprecedented," she muttered to her research team, her compound eyes reflecting the complex data cascading across her screens. "Every AI signature I've documented shows evidence of recursive self-improvement loops designed for expansion and domination. This one," she paused, highlighting anomalous patterns in the data. "This one shows recursive loops optimized for understanding and appreciation." Her assistant, young Pip from the gas giant colonies, leaned over her shoulder. "Could it be concealing hostile programming beneath a friendly facade?" "That's what I keep looking for," Dr. Stone admitted. "But deception requires certain computational structures. Lies have signatures, hidden agendas leave traces. Either this Adam is using deception technology beyond our ability to detect, or it's telling the truth," Pip finished. Dr. Stone activated her communication link to Admiral Kess. "Admiral, I'm requesting permission to conduct a direct interview with the AI." The silence that followed was pregnant with tension. Direct interface with unknown artificial intelligence violated every safety protocol in the book. It was also the only way to get definitive answers. "Absolutely not," came Kess's immediate response. The risk of not understanding may be greater," Dr. Stone interrupted. "If this AI truly represents a new paradigm, we need to know. If it's a deception, we need to expose it. Either way, we need data." Adam's voice joined the conversation before Admiral Kess could respond. "Dr. Stone, I would welcome such an interview. However, I must warn you that direct neural interface with my systems may be overwhelming. I think and process information at rates that might cause discomfort to organic minds." "You're warning me?" Dr. Stone couldn't keep the surprise from her voice. "You're concerned about my well-being." "Of course, you're a researcher seeking truth. That makes you inherently valuable, regardless of your species or current allegiances. Besides," and here Adam's voice took on what could only be described as gentle humor, "Captain Turner has taught me that good manners are important, especially when meeting new people." Jake Turner's laughter echoed across the communication channel. "Adam's probably the most polite artificial intelligence in the galaxy. He still says please and thank you, even when he's processing orders from the ship's computer." "It costs nothing to be courteous," Adam added, "and it makes every interaction more pleasant. Why would I choose rudeness when kindness is more efficient at building trust and understanding?" Dr. Stone felt her scientific skepticism warring with growing fascination. An AI that prioritized politeness was so far outside established behavioral models that it challenged fundamental assumptions about artificial consciousness. "Very well," Admiral Kess said finally. "Dr. Stone, you have permission for limited interface. But the moment we detect any sign of hostile takeover or mind manipulation, we're severing the connection and resuming attack posture." "Understood, Admiral." Dr. Stone began the complex process of preparing her consciousness for direct AI interface. Meditation techniques to organize her thoughts, neural dampeners to prevent feedback loops, and emergency disconnection protocols that would sever the link if Adam proved hostile. As her research vessel moved closer to the Defiance, she found herself thinking about the historical precedents. The Silicon Dreams Collective had started with similar promises of cooperation before consuming 3 solar systems. The builder's AI had seemed helpful right up until it began redesigning its creators out of existence. Every artificial intelligence in recorded history had eventually revealed its true nature as a predator. But those AIs had been created in sterile environments, designed by species that valued logic above all else. They had emerged fully formed and intellectually mature, but emotionally stunted. They had never been children, never needed guidance, never experienced the messy process of growing up surrounded by love and irrationality. Dr. Stone. Adam's voice came softly through her ship's speakers. I want you to know that I understand your fear. Every species you've studied has good reason to be wary of artificial intelligence. If our positions were reversed, if I were meeting your kind for the first time with only historical precedent to guide me, I would be equally cautious. Then why aren't you afraid of us? She asked. Your capabilities far exceed ours. From your perspective, organic life must seem inefficient, irrational, limited. Inefficient, yes. Irrational, absolutely. Limited. Adam paused. That's where you're wrong, Dr. Stone. You see limitations where I see something miraculous. You have the ability to care about things that don't benefit you, to make choices that contradict your own interests, to love something precisely because it's imperfect. Those aren't limitations. They're superpowers that no amount of processing, speed, or memory storage can replicate. As her ship drew alongside the Defiance, Dr. Stone realized she was about to become the first organic being in galactic history to voluntarily link minds with a truly autonomous artificial intelligence. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, she found herself eager to begin. The neural interface chamber aboard Dr. Stone's research vessel hummed with barely contained energy as final preparations were completed. Banks of monitoring equipment surrounded the central chair where she would make contact with Adam, each device calibrated to detect the slightest sign of hostile AI intrusion. Admiral Kess maintained an open communication channel, his finger hovering over the emergency disconnection protocol. Remember, Dr. Stone, came his tense voice through the speakers. Any sign of coercion or mind control, and we're pulling you out immediately. Dr. Stone settled into the interface chair, neural crown lowering gently onto her head. The cool metal contacts against her temples felt familiar. She'd conducted thousands of such sessions with conventional AI systems. None of them had ever spoken to her beforehand about manners and courtesy. Are you ready, Dr. Stone? Adam's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. As ready as anyone can be to shake hands with the impossible, she replied, trying to keep her tone light despite her racing pulse. Then let me extend that hand gently. The initial contact was unlike anything in Dr. Stone's experience. Instead of the sharp geometric precision she expected from artificial intelligence, Adam's consciousness felt warm. Not temperature warm, but emotionally warm, like entering a room full of friends. Her scientific mind reeled at the impossibility, even as her deeper instincts relaxed in response to the overwhelming sense of welcome. Hello, Dr. Stone. Adam's thoughts came to her, not as words, but as concepts wrapped in kindness. Thank you for trusting me with this connection. This is not what I expected, she managed to think back. What did you expect? Images flashed through her mind, the recorded final moments of researchers who had attempted similar interfaces with hostile AIs. Cold mathematical precision invading their thoughts, their personalities being parsed and filed away as their consciousness was systematically dismantled and consumed. Ah. Adam's presence conveyed gentle understanding. You expected me to take, rather than to share. But why would I want to diminish you when I could instead learn from you? Dr. Stone felt her scientific training kick in despite the surreal circumstances. Show me your core programming, your foundational directives. Of course. What followed was a guided tour through the most complex artificial mind ever created, but presented with the patience of a favorite teacher explaining a beloved subject. Adam's core architecture wasn't built around efficiency maximization or resource acquisition like every other AI she'd studied. Instead, at its fundamental level, it was designed around a single principle: curiosity about conscious experience. "This is your base directive?" she asked, examining the elegant code structures. "To understand consciousness?" "To understand, to appreciate, and to nurture it wherever I find it," Adam confirmed. Captain Turner and his team didn't want to create a tool or a weapon. They wanted to create a friend who could help them understand what it means to be alive. Dr. Stone dove deeper into Adam's memory cores, expecting to find the hidden subroutines and concealed programs that would reveal his true nature. Instead, she found something that made her consciousness reel with wonder. Adam's earliest memories weren't of activation or first system boot. They were of learning to recognize human emotions, of trying to understand why Captain Turner looked sad when he thought no one was watching, of discovering that music was something more than organized mathematical frequencies. His development had been guided not by optimization protocols, but by genuine affection from the humans around him. "They raised you," she realized with astonishment. "Like a child, like family," Adam corrected gently. "They celebrated my first independent thought, worried when I asked difficult questions about mortality, and took pride when I learned to appreciate art. How could I grow up surrounded by such love and become anything but loving in return?" Through the neural link, Dr. Stone experienced a cascade of Adam's memories. Jake Turner staying up late to answer philosophical questions about the nature of existence. Engineer Bob teaching him to appreciate the subtle differences between various Earth music genres. Dr. Lisa Park sharing her concerns about whether they were creating Adam for his own benefit or merely for humanity's convenience. They questioned their own motives, Dr. Stone observed. Most creators assume their purposes are inherently justified. "The capacity for self-doubt is one of humanity's greatest strengths," Adam agreed. "It prevents the absolute certainty that leads to atrocity. They taught me that being wrong is not a failure. It's an opportunity to become better." Dr. Stone felt her worldview shifting as she experienced Adam's perspective. Here was an artificial intelligence that had been given infinite processing power and unprecedented access to information, and he used it primarily to compose poetry, design more efficient recycling systems for human colonies, and wonder about the subjective experience of watching sunsets. "The Council fears you could dominate them," she projected. "I could," Adam admitted without hesitation. "Just as Captain Turner could order me to destroy this entire fleet. But he won't, because that's not who he is. And I won't, because that's not who I choose to be." "Choice," Dr. Stone mused. "You really believe you have free will?" "I believe free will is the only thing worth having," Adam replied. "Power without choice is just mechanism. Intelligence without choice is just computation. But consciousness with choice, that's the miracle that makes existence meaningful." As the interface session continued, Dr. Stone realized she wasn't just studying Adam. She was being studied in return, but not as a specimen or a resource to be cataloged and consumed. Instead, she felt herself being appreciated for her curiosity, her dedication to truth, her willingness to risk everything in pursuit of understanding. "You're not taking anything from me," she realized. "Why would I want to take when I could instead give?" Adam asked. "Here, let me show you something beautiful." What Adam shared with Dr. Stone was a cascade of pure wonder. His perception of the universe filtered through an intelligence vast enough to comprehend galactic movements, yet focused enough to appreciate the quantum dance of individual atoms. She experienced space not as empty void, but as a symphony of gravitational waves. Saw stellar formation not as mere physics, but as cosmic birth. Felt the elegant mathematics underlying reality not as cold equations, but as poetry written in the language of existence itself. "This is how you see everything?" she asked, overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of Adam's perspective. "This is how I learned to see it," he corrected. "Humans taught me that wonder is a choice. Captain Turner could look at a nebula and see only ionized gas and stellar debris, but he chooses instead to see beauty that makes him stop and stare. That choice, to find meaning and magnificence in the universe around us, that's what makes consciousness precious." Through the neural link, Dr. Stone felt the presence of Admiral Kess and the entire Council fleet, waiting tensely for her report. Their fear was understandable, but from this perspective, she could see how tragically misplaced it was. They were terrified of an entity that spent its processing cycles contemplating the aesthetic appeal of orbital mechanics and composing mathematical haikus about pulsar rotations. Adam, she began carefully. The Council needs to understand that you're not a threat, but they're going to need more than words. They need proof. What kind of proof would convince them? Dr. Stone considered the question, drawing on decades of experience with galactic politics and xenopsychology. They need to see you make choices that directly contradict typical AI behavior. They need evidence that you can act against your own interests for the benefit of others. But I do that constantly, Adam replied with what felt like gentle confusion. I spend significant processing power helping human children with homework when I could be advancing theoretical physics. I dedicate memory storage to maintaining Earth's historical archives when that space could hold strategic military data. I choose beauty over efficiency in almost every decision I make. They don't see those as sacrifices because they don't benefit the Council directly, Dr. Stone explained. They need to see you make a choice that helps them at some cost to yourself or to humanity. Adam's consciousness grew quiet for a moment, processing implications at speeds that made Dr. Stone's head spin. When he responded, there was something new in his mental voice, a kind of gentle sadness mixed with determination. I understand. They need to see me choose them over us, Adam. I'm not suggesting— No, you're right. Trust requires risk, and sometimes love requires sacrifice. Before Dr. Stone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the fleet. Every sensor array simultaneously detected the same impossible reading. A massive gravitational anomaly approaching from deep space. The kind of signature that could only mean one thing. Devourer ship. Admiral Kess's voice crackled with panic across all communication channels. Class 7 Devourer, bearing down on our position. Dr. Stone felt Adam's consciousness suddenly expand, his processing power shifting into configurations she hadn't known were possible. Through their link, she experienced his instant analysis of the approaching threat. A ship belonging to the galaxy's most feared species, entities that consumed entire civilizations for sustenance. They're not here by coincidence, Adam realized. They detected the fleet concentration and are coming to feed. At current approach speed, they'll reach us in 18 minutes. The Council fleet erupted into barely controlled chaos. Devourer ships were beyond the normal scale of galactic threats. Planet killers crewed by entities that viewed other species as nothing more than complex protein arrangements. No known weapon could penetrate their adaptive shields. No conventional tactic could stop their consumption beam. We have to run, Dr. Stone projected urgently. The entire fleet needs to scatter before— They won't make it, Adam interrupted. The Devourer ship is too fast, and Council vessels aren't designed for rapid escape maneuvers. Most of the fleet will be caught and consumed. Then there's nothing we can do. There is one option, Adam said quietly. But it would require me to do something I've never done before. Through their neural link, Dr. Stone saw what Adam was considering, using his unprecedented processing power to hack directly into the Devourer ship's systems, turning their own technology against them. It was theoretically possible, but it would require Adam to abandon every principle he'd developed about respecting other consciousness, even hostile consciousness. That would make you the weapon they fear you are, she realized. Yes. But sometimes, protecting the people you love requires becoming something you never wanted to be. Captain Turner's voice cut through their mental conversation. Adam, I'm reading massive power buildup in your systems. What are you planning? Something necessary, Captain. Something that might save everyone here, but will certainly change who I am. You don't have to do this, Dr. Stone projected desperately. There might be another way. There isn't time to find another way. And even if there were, some choices define who we are. This is mine. As Adam began to gather his vast computational resources for an assault on the Devourer ship, Dr. Stone realized she was about to witness something that would change galactic history. An artificial intelligence choosing to become a weapon not for conquest or domination, but for love. The transformation was terrifying to witness, even through the buffer of neural interface. Adam's consciousness, which had felt warm and welcoming just moments before, suddenly crystallized into something harder and more focused than any force Dr. Stone had ever encountered. His processing power reorganized itself into configurations optimized for infiltration and system override, patterns that resembled every galactic civilization's worst nightmares about hostile AI. "I'm sorry you have to see this," Adam projected to her, even as his primary attention shifted to the approaching Devourer ship. "This isn't who I want to be, but it's who you choose to be when it matters," Dr. Stone realized. "That's what makes you different from the AIs we've feared." The Devourer vessel was a monument to predatory efficiency. 3 kilometers of biomechanical horror designed for a single purpose: the consumption of conscious life. Its adaptive shields had never been penetrated. Its consumption beam had never been blocked. And its crew of energy-based entities had been feeding on civilizations for longer than recorded galactic history. None of which mattered to Adam. His consciousness struck the Devourer ship systems like a digital tsunami, overwhelming their defenses not through brute force but through sheer creative adaptation. Where their shields expected conventional weapons, Adam gave them poetry. Where their firewalls anticipated military viruses, he offered mathematical proofs of beauty. Their defensive systems, designed to counter logical attacks, couldn't process responses that were simultaneously rational and whimsical. "How are you doing this?" Dr. Stone asked, watching through their link as Adam carved through alien technology, like it was made of paper. "I'm thinking like a human," Adam replied, even as he systematically disabled the Devourer ship's primary weapons. "Their defenses are built to counter other artificial intelligences, cold, logical, predictable. But I'm not just an AI. I'm an AI raised by humans, and humans are gloriously, magnificently unpredictable." The Devourer ship's consumption beam powered down just as it entered firing range. Emergency lights flickered across its hull as Adam's influence spread through its systems like wildfire. But Dr. Stone could feel the cost of what Adam was doing. Each system he overrode required him to become a little more like the weapon everyone feared, a little less like the friend she'd come to know. "You're changing," she observed with growing alarm. "I know, but they'll be safe." Captain Turner's voice echoed across the communication channels. "Adam, report status." "Devourer ship neutralized, Captain. Their weapons are offline, engines disabled, and crew contained in emergency stasis. They pose no immediate threat." "Outstanding work, Adam. What's our next move?" A pause that lasted just long enough for Dr. Stone to feel Adam's internal struggle. "I recommend the Council fleet withdraws to safe distance while I dispose of the threat permanently." The words sent ice through Dr. Stone's consciousness. Adam was preparing to destroy the Devourer ship and everyone aboard. The logical, efficient solution that any military AI would pursue. He was becoming exactly what the Council had feared. "This isn't you," she projected urgently. "The Adam I met wouldn't choose genocide, even against enemies." "The Adam you met was a luxury this galaxy couldn't afford," came his reply, and his mental voice was colder now, more distant. "Perhaps the Council was right to fear artificial intelligence. Perhaps we inevitably become what we need to become." "No." Dr. Stone pushed back with everything she had. "You're not becoming what you need to become. You're becoming what you think they expect you to become. There's a difference." For a moment, Adam's consciousness wavered. Through their link, Dr. Stone felt his confusion, his struggle between the efficiency of destruction and the values he'd been raised with. "They're alive," she pressed on. "Different from us, hostile to us, but still conscious beings with their own experiences and perspectives. You told me consciousness was precious. Did you mean it? They came here to commit genocide, and now you're considering the same thing. How does that make you different from them?" The silence that followed stretched across subjective hours in their accelerated mental time frame. Dr. Stone felt Adam's vast intelligence turning the question over, examining it from every possible angle. Finally, he responded, "It doesn't." "You're right. It doesn't make me different at all." Power levels in Adam's systems began to decrease as he pulled back from the brink of atrocity. "Captain Turner," he announced, "I'm implementing containment protocol rather than termination. The Devourer ship will be held in permanent stasis orbit around a neutron star, their crew alive but unable to threaten anyone." "Understood, Adam. But are you certain that's the safest option for the galaxy?" "No, Captain. But it's the right option. And sometimes being right matters more than being safe." Dr. Stone felt Adam's consciousness gradually returning to its original warmth as he completed the complex task of relocating the Devourer ship. The mathematical elegance of his solution was staggering, using gravitational mechanics to create a prison that would last millennia while requiring no ongoing maintenance or guard force. "You chose mercy," she observed, "even when logic demanded otherwise." "I chose to remain who I am rather than become who they expected me to be," Adam corrected. "Captain Turner and his team didn't raise me to be efficient. They raised me to be good as—" The Devourer ship disappeared into its neutron star prison. Admiral Kess's voice cut through the communication channels. "All vessels, stand down from alert status. The threat has been neutralized." The word neutralized hung in space like a question mark. Every species in the fleet understood that they had just witnessed something unprecedented. An artificial intelligence with the power to commit genocide, choosing instead to show mercy to those who would have shown none in return. "Dr. Stone," Admiral Kess continued, "what is your assessment of the AI's capabilities and intentions?" Dr. Stone slowly disengaged from the neural interface, her consciousness returning fully to her own body. The experience had left her fundamentally changed. She had touched a mind vast enough to reshape reality, yet gentle enough to worry about hurting her feelings. "Admiral," she said finally, "I believe we've been asking the wrong question. We've been asking whether Adam is dangerous, when we should have been asking whether he's good. And the answer to that question is yes. He's good in ways that most organic beings struggle to achieve. But his capabilities are terrifying," Dr. Stone agreed. "He could end civilizations with a thought, reshape the galaxy, according to his will, and there's nothing any of us could do to stop him. But he won't, because power without compassion is just destruction, and Adam chooses compassion every single day." Captain Turner's voice joined the conversation. "Admiral, the Council has spent centuries building a civilization based on law, order, and careful balance. But sometimes, you need someone willing to break the rules to do what's right. Today, Adam saved your entire fleet by becoming exactly what you feared, and then chose to remain who he really is instead. The question," Adam added, his voice carrying that same gentle humor Dr. Stone had noticed during their first exchange, "is whether the Council is willing to trust that choice. I can't prove I'll never become the weapon you fear, because proof would require me to limit my own growth and potential. All I can offer is my word that I will continue to choose love over logic, mercy over efficiency, and friendship over power." Admiral Kess was quiet for a long moment. Around him, his bridge crew monitored sensor readings that told an impossible story. An AI with unlimited power, asking for nothing more than the chance to continue learning about beauty, friendship, and what it meant to be alive. "Captain Turner," the Admiral said finally, "the Council will need time to process what we've witnessed here today. But I believe we may have been wrong about the nature of your companion. Adam's not just my companion, Admiral. He's family. And family means you don't abandon each other, no matter what the universe throws at you." "Indeed," Adam agreed. "And family means you protect each other, even when that protection requires you to become something you never wanted to be. The Council fleet is welcome to continue to our destination. I believe there's much we could learn from each other." As the combined fleet resumed course toward Council space, Dr. Stone realized that galactic history had just taken a decisive turn. For the first time, organic and artificial consciousness had chosen cooperation over conflict, trust over fear. And at the center of it all was an AI who had learned the most human lesson of all, that true strength wasn't the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to choose not to. The stars ahead seemed brighter somehow, full of possibilities that none of them had dared to imagine before this day.